Good morning. This is Bob Iacino along with Mike Arnold, May 11th AM Path Chat covering the FX markets. Some quick overnight headlines. European Commission said that growth in the euro area will be stronger than previously forecast, adding that some risks to the outlook have been erased. Very positive. But they also warned of fallout from Brexit. Figures in the UK that we found this morning showing that a deficit in goods and services jumped to £10.5 billion, $14 million in the first 3 months of the year, suggesting that trade contributed to the country's sharp slowdown in the first quarter of the year. The UK had a sharp slowdown, just as the US did. However, there's not as much data showing that the first quarter slowdown in the UK is typical, as we're seeing of the recent first quarters in the US post-crisis, a slowdown being very typical. 6 of Canada's largest banks had their credit ratings downgraded by Moody's. You have concerns over a housing market and consumer indebtedness that supposedly has left lenders a little bit in a twist, considering the fall in the price of crude oil and the reliance upon Canada on the energy markets. It kind of makes some sense, but we'll see if that turns around in the second quarter. Markets quiet overnight. Asia Pacific Index up 0.3%. Japan's TOPIX added 1%, and the stock 600 in Europe was about 0.2% lower as of about 5 minutes ago when I last checked. Continued news cycle on James Comey, but again, nothing on the markets in that regard. Economic calendar, we've got the Bank of England interest rate decision in about 7 minutes from this recording. So if you have seen it, nothing's expected to be different. 0.25 on the overnight rate, and asset purchase targets supposed to remain at 435 billion sterling. But what you're going to want to look for is the inflation outlook based on that sharp slowdown that I just mentioned. There are some analysts that believe they're going to lower their inflation outlook, so that would actually matter to the pound. You got day one of the G7 meeting in Bari, Italy. So we'll probably get some headlines out of there later today. Japan's Economic Watchers Survey, both current and the future outlook, came out today, and they both beat slightly. Current outlook 48.1 versus an expectation of 47.8, and future outlook 48.8 versus an expectation of 48.2. Works just like the PMIs, needs to be above 50 to be considered a positive figure, but it's creeping that way. Swiss Consumer Price Index year over year, and the harmonized, which is a nice European way of saying the core. Small miss on the year-over-year headline number, 0.4 versus 0.5, and the harmonized was 0.7 versus an expectation of 0.7. So no change on that. UK manufacturing production, industrial production, and the manufacturing production, both year-over-year figures. 1.4 versus 1.9 on industrial production, 2.3 versus 3.0 on manufacturing production. These are both March numbers. And again, sharp slowdown in the first quarter for the UK. Trade balance, slightly lower than expected, both EU and non-EU. That's for the UK as well. And again, I just mentioned the rate decision. Watch that inflation report. In terms of on this side of the Atlantic, Canadian new housing prices index year over year expected to come out at 7:30 Central, along with U.S. initial jobless claims and continuing claims. The jobless claims number is expected to be a little bit of a bump from last week, but this is a weekly volatile number. Keep an eye on the continuing claims. That's about it. So let me turn it over to Mike to let you know what he is seeing on the charts. Mike, it's all yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Bob. Euro, US dollar, holding right now at the flat 21. It's trading still inside yesterday's range. So on a move lower, we are going to be watching for this critical level about 108.50 to 52. If it gets below there, you could see a pretty rapid decline to 108.20, which is a significant level. The next level below that is 107.95, where we have a rising 50 coming in with a key 50% GAN level. On a rally back up, there's some minor resistance around this 108.88 level. Then there's going to be more significant resistance around this 109 to 109.03 and then 109.08. So anywhere between 109 and 109.08 is what you're going to be watching for on the upside. And then if that is broken, next level up that you should watch for is 109.30. Over to the pound US dollar, holding in this range for the last couple weeks. So right now, key level 129.04, which you see tested a few times in the last few days. If we get below there, you could see a move down to 128.79, and then the next key level below that is 128.69. If that is broken, we will be watching for about 128.52 and then 128.33. On a move higher, watch for resistance. We're still, this trend line has been broken, but it's still providing some resistance. So right around the 129.48 to 50 is going to be your first level of resistance. Next level of resistance is going to be about 129.60. And then you can see a move up to retest the highs around 129.89 on the upside. Remember, if all that is broken, your next key level up is 130.67, just to make note of that. US dollar, Japanese yen. So far, slight pullback today. Found resistance at yesterday's highs, 114.37 area. Pulling back so far, is trading at a 25% GAN level, 114.01. If it continues lower, 113.66 to 113.55 is the next key levels. Then we're looking at 113.27. And if that's broken on a very strong move, about 113.00 to 03. On a rally back up, again, resistance 114.37. Next key level up, 114.52 or 58. And then 114.66. If all that is broken, you could see another return to about the 114.93. US dollar, Swiss franc rallied up, tested yesterday's highs, about 100.95, and it's pulled back, found some support at the 12.5 GAN level, 100.70. On a move back below the 100.70, we're watching for 100.65, and then if that's broken, you can watch for 100.48, followed by major support coming in right around 100.35 area. On a rally back up, 100.95, it's going to be some key resistance. And if that's broken, 101.07, followed by 101.25. Aussie US dollar moving up so far today, approaching some key resistance coming in at 73.81 area. If that is broken, watch for a rally to 73.97, followed by 74.13. And then if that level is broken on a very strong move, 74.34. If it turns around and heads back down, you're going to watch for some support at 73.55, followed by 73.37, and then 73.29. If we do get back below 73.29, which is a new defining point, you can watch for a pretty quick move to 73.09, then to 73.00. US dollar, Canadian dollar, trading also in this key range, really between two GAN levels. Moving up so far a bit today, resistance is going to be around the 137.22. If that's broken, watch for 137.51. And then once 137.51 is exceeded, you could possibly watch for retest of these highs, 137.93. If it turns back down and heads lower, watch for support right around, minor support right around the 136.77, then more significant support 136.51. Then if that's broken, we're going into a clear path move. We test the lower end of the rotation zone right around 136.15. And then once that's broken, 135.87. Finally, US dollar, Mexican peso found some support at our rising trend line today, traded up slightly, still down on the day. Heads back down. 18.90.24 is going to be some very key support. If that is broken, And then if we do get eventually closed below this trend line, we are into a clear path. So below that 1890.24, 1887.48, then we don't really have anything down until 1876.98. And if this trend line trade is triggered, the full target would be eventually 1872.51. On a move higher, minor resistance 1897.99, followed by 1902.77. Then on a very strong up move, 1908.49 would be the next move up. That's all we have for you. Back to you, Bob.
Thank you, Michael, and thanks to you guys for watching. If you like what we're doing, hit like and subscribe, and we will talk to you guys in the next Path Chat. Cheers, everyone.